Okay, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to today's vendor spotlight. My name is Christy Ragone. I'm one of the product specialist team leads here at Canem Systems. Today, we're excited to have with us Jackson Cole with magicplan. Jackson Cole is a product and solution specialist at magicplan. There, he focuses on bridging the gap between technology and customer success. He also helps partners and enterprise clients integrate magicplan into their workflows, which enables seamless data exchange and efficient field to office processes. With deep product expertise and a strong understanding of real world applications, Jackson plays a key role in shaping practical solutions that connect field operations, data accuracy, and builds efficiency. Now, today's webinar will be discussing how restorers are using magicplan and PSA to finally fix the job site to office mess. Now, before we get started with today's webinar, let's just go through a few housekeeping items. All attendees have been muted during today's session to cut down on background noise. We have also automatically turned off videos during today's session to avoid any distractions. This session's recording will be available on our company's YouTube channel. Questions can be entered directly into the Zoom chat box at any time during the session, and we will review those questions at the end of today's meeting. If we happen to run out of time and your question has not been addressed during today's session, we will reach out to you individually. So with that being said, I am going to drop my share and turn this over to Jackson.
Thank you so much, Christy. I appreciate the introduction. That was fantastic. I could not have said that myself any better. Hello, everybody. Great to kind of see everybody. I know the cameras are off, but happy Wednesday. Hope we're having a good day so far. I will then get right into it and we can get into the fun stuff. I will share this screen. So with magicplan and PSA, as Christy said, we are aiming to create an integration partnership to help get rid of that mess that's often seen within the field, and especially with the handover going back to the not so fun stuff back at the desk and with all the admins and estimator work. And we get that. That is something that is going to be around for a while. So we thought, we might as well try and enhance what we can and take the best of both worlds with what PSA has to offer with their proven system and magicplan scanning and everything in between. So without further ado, I'll start to walk through the magicplan process and we can kind of go through that and then go through any questions at the end. Feel free to note those down and send them in the chat, as Chrissy said, and we can go. So if you're not familiar with magicplan already, we are a all-in-one documentation project management tool for the field that then passes along information back to those in the office for further exporting, management, and into estimating whatever you need. At a gist, we can really categorize it into 5 different areas here. What people know us for the most is definitely our sketches, specifically what we have as our instant real-time sketching capabilities. This is something that when you then send a project off from PSA into magicplan with upcoming integration, you can get right into the field and there's no delay between that project assignment and then the technicians going through and capturing what is necessary. Pass that on to the actual documentation beyond the dimensions. Photo and video capture documentation is obviously very highly required in most areas of the industry, and we understand that. And we always are looking for ways to enhance, ways to both gather, share, and also enrich that data that you guys are capturing so that way no question goes unanswered, and that way you can share it with whoever needs it, without having to figure out how to do that. Beyond the actual photos and other documentation, there are also obviously another wide variety of files and information that needs to be extracted. And that is something we are very familiar with, but always working to tailor further to the restoration industry specifically. This is something that we have then further enhanced with our ESX and FML exports into exactment and totality with our instant exports there. One of the only ones in the industry capable of that, and that can be something that can be sent back and changed into PSA as needed to continue on and make sure there are no delays in your process. First, we want to start talking about the site assessment, kind of first, second part of that quick 5-part process there. So we will get into the magic plan scan, a notorious walkthrough of a property that everyone dreads, that we are trying to make as easy and efficient as possible. So in Magic Plan, when you start a new project, you can start by inserting the new rooms, starting with our auto scan using LiDAR, so that way you're getting instant feedback on the dimensions and the property as soon as you're there. And you can get this scan in and out without having to worry about any delays or turnaround time. With the auto scan, all you have to do is point and shoot your device. You don't have to take photos. You don't have to go in a perfect circle. And we actually encourage folks to go back where they were to show these angles from different viewpoints and perspectives. This is all hard data points that translate into direct real-time dimensions into something that is completely editable as soon as you hit complete. That is something we want to stick with moving forward. It's something that what we want to develop and create a solution for everybody in this field. So it's accessible, but also professional, something that you could submit without any worries. It does not matter necessarily the room shape and what is in the room. As you can see here, this property has a lot of objects along the walls that is covering entire portions of the floor. But as long as you are showing a majority of the room, this process is pretty much seamless across the entire area. With that, you can see we also have content recognition. Boxes will be drawn over parts of the kitchens, living rooms, offices, wherever appliances are there. And then those can optionally be saved to then track other contents as needed within Magic Plan and then exported into other formats out of Magic Plan. Something that we have done that you might not see in other platforms that use a similar scan is a different LLMs that go and process these floor plans, and they allow for a high level of accuracy and also fixing user error while walking through that. This is something that we strive to stay ahead of the game in to make sure that you guys don't have to worry about what information you're capturing. You can just proceed on with the scan and start taking photos and voice notes. As you can kind of tell here, we actually have a new AI assistant built into the scan where you can talk through the notes that are relevant on the given job, and then we will summarize them into written notes onto that project. Similar to that, you can take photos while you're scanning here with that secondary button. That will then also show you what photos you took in the given room while walking around. Moving into adjacent rooms, we use a local GPS to track which room you're currently in which one you're scanning, so that way it pre-assembles the floor plan to the best of its abilities. This can be done across an entire property if needed, or you can just do one room at a time. And then you can also adjust any objects that are highlighted, like that are structural, like doors and windows, to make sure you're getting the right information. In case you do need to take multiple notes across multiple rooms, you can always start another session in each room with the voice notes, as you can see here. And these voice notes will then be saved only to the appropriate room, so that way you can keep information relevant and keep moving onward with the job site and not have any questions when you get back to the office. Again, as we move over into the last room, you can see that that plan was building on the 2D preview at the bottom. Then we move on to the last office of one of the owners here. Despite the clutter and covering of the windows, this room still gets completely scanned, getting all the dimensions and the structure elements, leaving out this closet for further editing afterwards, something that Magic Plan is an excellent tool for, just so that way you can get that full job process done all at once. See here, we take additional photos. I already got some notes. We'll confirm this. And at the end of this process, we have a built floor plan with a few rooms left out on purpose to show manual editing. But when you hit done, you now have a full job site ready to go, and this can be exported or edited as needed. Moving on to what really makes Magic Plan shine is the ability to go into the plan after the scan and add or change anything you need to on the spot. This is something that can be done with filler rooms, drawing out rooms yourself by tapping corners, or just inserting a square room and adjusting them with the Bluetooth laser afterwards. We like to think of Magic Plan as a toolkit that includes your mobile device, a Bluetooth laser, maybe a paper and pencil for taking notes onto the side, and then any cameras that you might want to add in for additional documentation. If you need to go in and make any changes and separate rooms for value purposes, you can always do that within MagicPlan, given any of our tools that are in this editor, whether that's splitting a room, dropping in that filler room, changing door types, changing the names of the rooms. Everything in here you see can be adjusted to fit whatever you are working on. You can see here, we're going to tap in the room shape of the closet that is in this space that was not scanned in that office. Closets are obviously a very tough part to gather the dimensions for, and that is exactly where the rest of that toolkit comes into place within MagicPlan. Alternatively, if you need to draw in a larger room, it's the same exact process. Just tap in the shape you need, and the room will fill in as such on the pre-existing floor plan for you to then further enrich with whatever info you need. With that, we can always document further details. Whether you need a certain door type, whether you need to know the lengths of objects or anything in between. MagicPlan has the capability to do that. So you don't have to wait for turnaround times on these scans. You don't have to wait for further edits to come back to you. You have the power to make adjustments with the lasers or by hand at any given time within the application. All of this is also capable offline. MagicPlan works about 99% without internet access to make sure that even if there's a CAD event, that folks can go through, get the proper documentation, and be on their way onto the more important parts, whether that's another job or just back to the office to finish up an estimate as such. Beyond the actual space and the dimensions that you're going to be gathering, we know that photo documentation is extremely important to prove a point and also not have any questions asked of what actually happened. Being able to tell the story accurately is just as important at what values you got when you did gather the space and what was in it. So within MagicPlan, we have enhanced 360 and phone capability tour options. This includes taking 360 panoramas with your phone or connecting to your 360 cameras just by entering in the password right here, or the serial number, excuse me, on the camera when you're going into process. From there, you can use MagicPlan as a mobile capture button, step out of the room, and then take the photo. So that way there is no obstructions or any awkward photos living on the job documentation. There are ways to edit these photos within MagicPlan. We'll show that moving forward here after this 360 preview. So we essentially use the 360 camera as a live video feed, as you can see here. The user is walking around, setting up the camera, taking their photos around the corner, saving those photos then on the appropriate rooms, and then moving on in our photo capture tool. So within these photos, we can go through, make sure that they look correct in each stage, remove them if they're incorrect, retake them, or make any further edits on the spot. All then live in the photo section of that project. Once the 360s have been captured, we know daily arrival and departure scans and photos are highly relevant in this industry. We have made it even easier to then share this imagery and tell these stories with a quick URL. We'll gather up your selected photos to then share them off in select tours to make sure that whoever needs to see the information can without needing full access to the project or not seeing anything that they're not supposed to see within MagicPlan. Beyond the 360 photos, the regular photo capabilities are quite extensive, whether that's taking them based on the readings, just documenting some damage, or just getting a perspective of what is going on the job site. Whether that's through the organization, who took them, the comments that were made on the photos, or how they're shared. MagicPlan's robust photo system and file capabilities have a wide variety of solutions to make sure that every job can be covered and that everything meets requirements as needed within compliance. Beyond the actual visual documentation that most folks take while they're walking through their job sites, MagicPlan, with its built-in editor, has a whole slew of annotations and other additional markup features that you can add right onto the plan to add that visual story and those cues just from looking at the floor plan itself, whether that's through affected areas, wet zones, pointer arrows, warning signs, marking out for teardown or rebuilds. You can add just about anything into MagicPlan in that editor. To provide additional context, magicplan also has built-in forms and SOP features right into their system. These forms can be built out right in there without any help, or you can obviously always reach out to us for assistance. And then you can add in your checklists for the day for whoever's on site and assign them to only the relevant teams to make sure that you capture everything in one pass through of the job site. These forms are as robust as you want them to be and can be stacked with logic-based questions to remove unnecessary questions if they are not answered with the given prompt. This helps clean up, obviously, the form based on what answer information is relevant. So that way nothing is entered in twice or unnecessarily in the way, whether that's capturing signatures or just answering yes or no questions to prove if there was actually damage in an area that there was claimed to be with a site. Into the fun side of the mitigation and drying process. The mitigation and drying process has always been a fun area to tackle. Telling a story here really relies on the hard numbers that come out of what happened on the site. Photos do tell a good story, but without the data, all of that is pointless. I'm sure everyone is very familiar with that. Because of that, we have started to work with some mitigation and drying companies such as Trimex to build integrations to help try and sync this data into an even more effortless tracking method. This integration with Trimex specifically allows you to send over information via the Bluetooth module and capture all of the reading data instantly without having to manually enter anything. So please keep an eye out for that. If Trimex is a device you use, we will also hopefully be announcing alternative brands for Bluetooth moisture reader tracking. Keep an eye out for those updates as well if you use a different one. Within magicplan, as I discussed with the annotation placement, objects and equipment can be tracked just as easily via the wide variety of objects we have built into the application. Within that, then you can provide additional context of where that equipment was placed by adding photos or by adding personal notes onto the equipment, such as time placed, hours logged, and everything in between. All you have to do is go into our editor and then add the relevant information and make sure that you have exactly what you need when you hit export on magicplan. These equipment are mainly unbranded as of right now, but there are going to be ones based off of the integrations we have created, such as Trimex. So please keep an eye out for those branded objects as we continue to work through partnerships and other integrations. Going to the affected areas and marking down the exact space that is affected is something that we strive to try and implement into magicplan and have successfully started to do so with our newly released affected areas tool. This looks very similar to a wet zone that we previously had within magicplan, but we've now spec'd this out to specifically calculate the exact size and area of the shape that you are now drawing. Whether it be the whole room or just part of it, just tap in the shape that is affected, and magicplan will then capture the exact size and space that is affected for your own drawing purposes for any other further calculations and drawing process. Once we have all the information we need, we know that getting it off into the appropriate systems is something that is just as important as gathering it in the first place. So with magicplan, we have worked tirelessly with Cotality and Xactimate to provide instant ESX and FML exports. So that way, when you're done with your project, all you have to do is hit export, and that information goes out of our system into the appropriate file, and then can be imported into Xactimate and Cotality to finish up estimates. This is one of the only features that does require internet, but those ESX and FML files typically take about 10 to 15 seconds to turn around. They do also include all photos and the entire structural elements of that plan. And now, as of more recently, a new update, we have started to include reference blocks and reference areas within the magicplan ESX file. So you don't have to go back and place in objects. They will be saved automatically for you, and the photos will then go over into the relevant spot within Xactimate as well. This is something we're very proud of to try and help reduce redundancy and double entry into Xactimate, as we know that it can be quite time consuming. This takes a load off of folks when they are working on the estimates. There is no account connection for these integrations. All you have to do is sign up for the Pro plan, and these are automatically turned on and ready to go for any user within magicplan. Let's go back over that one again. Alternatively, if ASXs and FMLs are not your jam, we also have a whole slew of exports built in. I did briefly discuss some of the photo exports and share URLs that we already have. But beyond that, in terms of PDFs and other documentation exports, we do have a wide variety of reports that then include those SOPs, questionnaires, and other photo documentation, all into one concise report that can be branded and formatted as you need to be shared externally wherever you need within the magicplan workspace. These files live under the magicplan project with free unlimited storage for as many files as you need within that given project, and can also be used as a place to upload documents if you have a paper document. Just use magicplan's digitalize feature within the file section, and your mobile device will scan the document and digitalize it right into a PDF to share in magicplan. More specifically, onto the photo exports we mentioned earlier, something that can really tell the story without giving too much access and only takes a few seconds to generate is being able to select only the relevant photos that you need to export, creating that shareable PDF or URL, and then sending it to whoever needs to see it. This document is quite nifty because it comes with full resolution photos that are interactable. So every photo you see can be clicked on and pulled up in its full resolution. And if it happens to get printed, it can be redigitalized via the QR code printed right on the document to then provide those full resolution photos, just in case something goes missed and they need to double check what was there. I know we talked about this at the very beginning. One of the hardest parts is the handoff back into the other system. And this is where PSA really comes in handy, and where their system really does a good job in taking care of the admin side of things. Using all those magicplan exports, all you need to do is go into the file section of the project, export any and all the files you need, and you can continue on your way with the estimate or any other project info in the other systems such as PSA. We do host a, like I said, unlimited database for these project files in each project, but the ease of access is where we really want to press the importance of how you can share this information wherever you need to because it is your data. As I mentioned earlier as well, there are very few features that are online requirement for magicplan. It is 99% offline in terms of gathering all the information. The only parts you will need internet for are going to be connecting to the cloud to sync the information and then generating the exports. Every part of magicplan otherwise functions offline and on the device locally, so you don't have to worry about working in a basement or somewhere with no service. Just go back into internet once you're done, and the information will still be there ready to sync up to the cloud to be handed off to the next stakeholder in the process. And with that, I would like to say thank you for sitting in on my presentation. I know it was a lot of information, but we hope that if you have any questions, if there has been any, we can either answer them now or talk afterwards and make sure that you have a full understanding of how magicplan and PSA together can make this process as easy and seamless as possible and provide you with the most optimal suite of tools at your disposal.
All right, I'm going to take a look at the webinar chat. I don't see anything in here so far.
Mhm.
Well, let's see. Chad has a question. I'm just going to unmute him. Okay, Chad, I unmuted you. You have a question, Chad? If you're talking, we can't hear you. Okay. Jordan has a question.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yep, sure can.
Perfect. So the chat window actually appears as if it's disabled. So if there are people trying to respond, that they can't.
Oh, okay. I'll let her know that. Thank you.
No problem. But also, I do have a question of, are we able to have like a one-on-one kind of walkthrough on this on like a deeper scale. We've looked at a few project like products, I guess pseudo similar. Just want to see a little bit more in depth on what is offered with this.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, you reach out to either we have a sales email or just me directly. We can definitely set up a time and go through things in more use case specific conversation, getting into some more granular stuff. It's also free on the App Store if you guys want to like mess with it at home. It's a really great way to come with some questions and kind of get that conversation jump started a little bit if you guys do want to try it. I think it's a great way to kind of figure out what you don't know and figure out what questions might be most helpful for you.
And what's the sales email, Jackson?
I believe it is sales at magicplan dot. I will double check, but that should be it. If not, just please email me. My email is just my first dot last name at magicplan.app, jackson.cole. So exactly as you see it in the presentation, just at magicplan.app, not .com. That is the one tricky part. Any other question?
Anything else from anybody? Speak now, forever hold your peace. Okay, well, thank you so much, Jackson. We appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Christy. I appreciate the opportunity, and I hope everyone has a wonderful rest of their Wednesday. Oh, I wish it was Friday.
Okay, take care. Have a good
All right.
one.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.